This page is the front cover. Proper blast from the past this is. Right there at the top we've got the classic Nintendo 64 magazine logo. Red and bold, can't miss it. Smack bang in the middle it's all about Castlevania, with a massive skull grinning out at you. They were really pushing the horror vibe for that one, weren't they? Spine-chilling first play it says. Bit dramatic, but Castlevania on the 64 was a big deal at the time. Below that, Jorrington Norse have Zero X first ever review. Aye, that was a fast one. They really nailed the speed in that game. Proper adrenaline rush. Then there's the usual reviews for tons of Nintendo games bit, rattling off names like Vrally 99, NBA Jam 99, NFL Blitz, Wipeout 64, Rakuga Kids, and Glover. Standard late 90s lineup really. Bit of racing, bit of sports, bit of platforming oddness, like Glover. Down in the corner, Game Boy Color is getting some love, info and new shots. Always good to keep an eye on the handhelds. And Duke Nukem gets a shout for cool new N64 shots. Yeah, Duke was everywhere back then, wasn't he? Even on the N64, though it wasn't quite the same as the PC version, let's be honest. Lastly, Zelda Tactics. Promising a guide and top poster, Zelda always sold magazines, no surprises there. Price is £2.95. Seems about right for the time. Classic stuff. This full-page ad promotes WCW/NWO Revenge for the Nintendo 64, boldly declaring it the best beat-em-up on the console. The advertisement aggressively promotes the game with several review scores to support its claims. Total 64 magazine awarded it 94% and a Top Banana award, praising its multiplayer and claiming it surpasses WWF Warzone. Official Nintendo magazine gave it 90%, calling it a top-class brute-bashing bonanza and highlighting the vast move list. 64 magazine awarded 87% and called it an essential buy. The ad, complete with the Out Now message and the WCW/NWO Revenge logo, aimed to entice wrestling fans to purchase the game upon its release. The next page is another one banging on about WCW/NWO Revenge. It's got that massive "Fear" headline at the top and this massive close-up of Goldberg tongue out and looking properly menacing. I suppose they were going for that intimidation factor. Then you've got these little screenshots of the game, scattered around him, showing the in-game action, bits of wrestling matches going on, and right down at the bottom there's the game box itself. Just to remind you what you're looking at, WCW/NWO Revenge, for the N64, PAL version and all that. Seems like they were really pushing this one at the time. Especially after all those glowing reviews they were bragging about on the last page. They really wanted you to be scared into buying it. Or something like that, typical marketing, eh? This page is a bit of a weird one. It's just got massive white text splashed across a picture of Earth from space. Right in your face it says, "Once you've got to find whole planet." Bit cryptic, isn't it? It doesn't really scream any specific game out loud, more like some sort of philosophical statement or something. Maybe they're trying to be all deep and meaningful with the whole save the planet vibe or something. Perhaps it's a lead into a feature about a space game. It's not exactly subtle with that massive font, that's for sure. Let's see what they're going on about next, eh? This page carries on with the weird cryptic message from before, but this time it seems to resolve itself. In massive letters it shouts, "Vetan vi just nicht the net." Right then, playing detective a bit, it's pretty clear they mean, "We've eaten, we just finished the planet." Bit of a strange way to spell it out, isn't it? Anyway, underneath all that is the logo for a game called Body Harvest, on the Nintendo 64. So it seems this whole page is a lead into this game. Body Harvest sounds a bit grim, doesn't it? Judging by the title and the dripping blood style logo, it's probably some sort of alien invasion type thing where they are harvesting bodies. Nice. Well, it's certainly got a dramatic way of announcing itself, hasn't it? Let's see what all the fuss is about then. This page, well, after all that alien invasion nonsense and Body Harvest, we're onto something completely different. It's a full-page advert for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Well, naturally, everyone and their dog was waiting for this game back then. The most anticipated video game ever. December 98 it says. Probably not wrong, to be honest. There's Link, front and center, doing his heroic pose, and in the background they've got some of the villains. That's Ganondorf looking menacing as ever, and what looks like a Lizalfos lizard dude. Nintendo 64 logo up top and the tagline, "Feel everything." A bit over the top perhaps, but it was Zelda. December 98 release. The wait felt like forever at the time. Good times though. This page from a December 1998 issue of Nintendo Official Magazine aims to convince readers to buy it. The magazine boasts being the UK's biggest selling Nintendo 64 and Nintendo magazine, highlighting its promises. First looks at new games and products, real screenshots, ease of use, tips and cheats, trustworthy writers, and the bold claim that other magazines aren't worth buying. The page features a photo of Team Nintendo staff and provides contact details, including a London address and phone numbers for reader inquiries and magazine availability. It also showcases the magazine cover, featuring Castlevania and F-Zero X, promising a first review and a free demo disc, complete with Mario in the corner. This page is a typical example of 90s magazine promotion, selling the appeal of the magazine. This issue features cover stories on Castlevania, hyped as a fright-of-your-life experience, promising in-depth coverage on page 10. Zelda fans get a treat with a tipped preview of early Ocarina of Time levels, found on page 82. The magazine also provides game news, detailing upcoming Nintendo 64 releases, including classics like Duke Nukem and Mario Party, alongside a variety of other titles, with the news itself starting on page 100. Finally, the magazine includes coverage of the then-popular South Park game. This page screams reviews right at you, doesn't it? Looks like they're diving deep into the new games out this month, and F-Zero X is hogging the limelight. Fair enough, it was pretty rapid back then, the world's fastest race game they're calling it. Bit much maybe, but it was fast. Loads of other reviews listed: NBA Jam, Wipeout 64, NHL 99, Rakuga Kids, Vrally, XG2, some American football games I probably skimmed over, Buster Move 3, Bubble Bobble, and a few others like NFL Blitz, Starshot, NASCAR, Glover, Bomberman Hero, Scars, and some Total Test, whatever that is. A right mixed bag. Boring door. Then there's a game guide section, with Zelda Ocarina of Time mentioned, which is a big deal, Banjo-Kazooie, and F1 World Grand Prix guides too. Looks like there's a free F-Zero X game guidebook as well, packed with tips, and even a section for your scores, bless 'em. Used to love sending those in. And down at the bottom they're banging on about the Game Boy Color making a comeback. Pocket Prince returns, they're saying. Going to page 50 for that. It's all a bit of a snapshot of what was hot at the time, games-wise. This page is all about Castlevania. Looks like they are showcasing the upcoming N64 version. Castlevania they've called it here. Bit of a typo, or maybe just trying to be trendy, who knows. They're saying Nintendo classics are coming back thick and fast, which is fair enough, with Zelda already out and grabbing all the attention. This Castlevania they reckon will chill your blood, bit dramatic, but that's magazines for you. Game Info Box says it's by Konami, 3D Adventure, and due summer 1999. Summer 1999. Crikey. That seems ages away back then. But it's always the way with these previews. Dark and mysterious is the headline. No surprises there. It's Castlevania after all. They're going on about it being one of the creepiest games ever. Dracula's back, Twilight Terrors, all the usual guff. Apparently the gameplay changes day and night. That's a bit different. Leg unusual. They've got some screenshots, skeletons getting blasted with magic, classic Castlevania enemies making the jump to 3D. Another picture of the castle looking all spooky at night, and a blood-red moon. Very atmospheric they're trying to be. Packed your garlic, the caption says, a bit cheesy. Looks like they're trying to capture the vibe, but whether it'll be any good in 3D is the question. Some of these 2D classics didn't always translate too well, did they? Still, worth keeping an eye on, I suppose. Could be a decent spooky romp when it finally arrives. This page continues with the Castlevania feature, and it's all about the vampire hunting heroes. They're showing off the two characters you can choose from in this new 3D Castlevania. First up is Schneider Belmont, described as an all-rounder, quick and strong, good with his whip of course, and handy with a sword for when things get a bit too close and personal with Dracula's lot. Sounds like your typical Belmont then, whip cracking and ready for action. Then there's Carrie Eastfield. Apparently she's only 12, which seems a bit young to be tackling vampires if you ask me, but they reckon she's more than a match for anyone. They say she's weaker than Schneider physically, but makes up for it with incredibly powerful magic spells. She may be small, but she packs a punch, they've put. Bit of a cliche, but you get the idea. So you've got the beefy Belmont type and the magic-wielding kid. Seems like a decent enough choice depending on your playstyle, if you can get past the fact one of them looks like she should still be in primary school fighting monsters. This page continues the Castlevania coverage, and it's all about getting stuck into the game itself, starting in the forest level. They're making out like this forest is a real frustrating place, packed with Dracula's soul searchers, which basically means skeletons and bats by the looks of things. Classic Castlevania fodder then. Apparently you need to find levers to open up new areas, so it's not just a straight run to the castle gates. Pammy. They then go on about horror movie moments, which is a fancy way of saying cutscenes. They're saying these are important and not to skip them, because they'll give you clues, but let's be honest, Who plays Castlevania for the deep and meaningful plot? Still, they reckon these are done in the game engine, not those ropey pre-rendered things, so that's something I suppose. Finally, they get to the first battle, and predictably, it's all about skeletons again. They're making them sound proper tough. These skeletons, gonna break your bones apparently. Standard skeletons are one thing, but then they mention these blue kamikaze skeletons which are packing bombs and will chase you down and blow themselves up. Sounds a bit much even for Castlevania, doesn't it? Still, variety is the spice of life, I guess, even if it's exploding skeleton spice. They reckon one sword slash will sort out the regular ones, so that's handy to know. This page is still banging on about Castlevania 64 then, going into the nitty-gritty of gameplay. First up, it's Make the Jump, which is all about the platforming, and they're not kidding when they say it's tricky. Apparently these chasms just appear out of nowhere, and you've got to time your leaps perfectly, otherwise it's curtains. They even suggest shuffling sideways if you're clinging onto a ledge to find a lower spot to pull yourself up. Cheeky. Sounds a bit fiddly, to be honest, not like your Mario jumps, that's for sure. Deccan. Then it's on to learn the basics. And they're saying the controls are easy to pick up but take a while to master. The main thing they're on about is stopping, saying the hero slides a bit, which can be a pain when you're near a cliff edge. They're showing the control layout on the N64 pad, with the Z trigger for sliding, B button for firing your weapon, A for jump, C button for your second weapon, and D-PAD for camera in head view mode, and L button to look around. B button is for opening doors and picking up objects. They're also pointing out, a button shifts the camera, and the D button throws your weapon. All fairly standard stuff for a 3D action game of the time. Looks like they are prepping you for a bit of a challenge in this Castlevania, not just your average button basher then. This article explores gameplay elements of Castlevania 64. The castle itself features a linear path, emphasizing key hunting, lever puzzles, and finding keys. The game also incorporates a real-time clock. Vampires are weak during the day, but become significantly stronger at night, doubling in power. Players have 2 weapon slots, and can find ammunition for various throwing weapons. Examples include the basic knife, the stronger star, effective in 2 hits, the magic potion, for ghosts, and the powerful axe, 1-hit kill. The article suggests a standard, but solid weapon selection for a Castlevania title. This page is a full-on advert for WWF Warzone, remember that one? Stone Cold Steve Austin is all over it, shouting and flexing, with his autograph plastered across his chest. Never subtle, was he? It's pushing the N64 version mostly, but it was also on PlayStation, and even the humble Game Boy. They're really trying to convince you it's know the score, with a load of review quotes plastered around. Official Nintendo magazine, bless them, gave it a 90% awesome award. Bit generous maybe, but hey. They said wrestling was back in a big way. Then you've got quotes from 64 magazine, Total PlayStation, Gen 64 Pro and a bunch more, all saying how great it is, top grappling action, playable party monster, best wrestling game on the N64. They really went for it. PlayStation Pro even called it flesh-slappingly good, which is a bit strong if you ask me. There's even a free strategy guide while stocks last, which is always tempting. And at the bottom, all the usual game shops from back then: Toys R Us, Curry's, Dixon's, Comet, Electronics Boutique, MVC, HMV, Blockbuster Video Game, Tesco, Winsmith, BE. Seeing those logos is a proper throwback. Yeah, Warzone, it was the wrestling game to have on the N64 back then. This page is a bit of a mood setter, innit? It's a full page, looks like a poster really, for Castlevania on the Nintendo 64. Proper gothic horror vibe, dark reds and oranges, with a massive flaming skull staring right at you. Very dramatic. Free poster, it says at the top. Always a bonus back then, when you actually got something extra in the mag. It's got the Castlevania logo at the bottom right, the classic spiky lettering, and the Nintendo official magazine logo in the corner to remind you where you saw it. It's a striking image, alright. Definitely catches the eye, makes you think of spooky castles and vampires, the usual Castlevania stuff. Not much text on it really, just the logos and the free poster bit. Simple but effective, does the job of getting you interested in the game. After all that wrestling hype on the previous page, this is a bit of a change of pace, going from sweaty blokes grappling to gothic horror skeletons. Typical Nintendo magazine, always a bit of variety. The next page gets straight into the Castlevania 64 gameplay, moving on from that moody poster. It's a tactics guide, broken down into sections like Face Your Fear, Search and Find, Top of the Tower, and Looks Familiar. Starting with Face Your Fear, it's all about a door at the top of some stairs that won't open unless you've got the time shifter item, or you wait until nighttime in the game. Bit of a pain if you haven't got that item then. just standing around waiting for the clock to tick over. Search and Find talks about using Carrie's magic to reveal hidden goodies, and mentions red crystals for missiles, health items that look like turkey legs, and the time shifter, which ages you through time, day to night, or the other way around. Top of the Tower is about getting to the outside world, and seeing Dracula. Apparently he's not looking his best. They mention a lever to pull to open a wall. Looks familiar is about areas that seem like the start of the level, but with more pitfalls, like collapsing platforms and guillotines, and bladed floors that are even worse than the collapsing platforms. It's a pretty standard tips page, nothing too groundbreaking, but probably helpful if you were stuck back then, and didn't have the internet to look everything up instantly. This article details enemy encounters in Castlevania 64. Early challenges include kamikaze skeletons, and the mini-boss, Death. Strategies involve using Schneider's whip to maintain distance. Outside the castle, players face fire-breathing, three-headed dogs, requiring constant movement, whipping, and throwing daggers. A notable boss, Behemoth, a massive horned devil dog, demands strategic flesh removal before the final blow. The article concludes with optimistic predictions, comparing the game to Zelda and F-Zero X, anticipating a hit release in 1999, while acknowledging the high expectations. This page is an advert for the action replay for the Nintendo 64. Remember those? Play to win, never to lose, it says. Blimey, talk about laying it on thick. It's basically a cheat cartridge, promising infinite health, ammo, extra characters, all the usual stuff you'd expect from these devices back in the day. Wackity. They reckon it's the world's best game enhancer, which is a bit of a claim, isn't it? Says it's preloaded with hottest game codes, and you can even program new ones. Apparently it stores thousands of codes and is user-friendly and menu-driven. Sounds fancy. The price is £49.99, which was a fair bit back then, but it does come with a free tactics video, and you could get a free tactical guide at game stores. Remember Game and Electronics Boutique? Good times. You could also get it from HMV and Waysmith, even your good independents. It's all cheatware by Datel. Datel were the kings of this kind of thing, and if you needed even more cheats, there was an Action Replay Codeline phone number to call for new codes, at 50p a minute. Blimey, they knew how to rinse you back then. Still, if you were stuck on getting past a level in GoldenEye or something, maybe it was worth it. Patole. Maybe. This magazine section reviews Nintendo 64 games. The review section begins by explaining their scoring system, 0 to 100, with scores over 90 earning an Awesome Award. The main review is for F-Zero X, which receives the Awesome Award, highlighting its speed and comparing it favorably to Extreme G. The game costs £39.99 and releases on November 6th. Other N64 games reviewed include Rally Edition 99, XG2, NFL QB Club 99, Buster Move 3, NFL Blitz, Starshot, NASCAR 99, Glover, and Scars. NASCAR 99 receives a negative review, while Glover is described as a top ball-bouncing platformer. The reviewers, Asim, John, Usman, and Irfan, are pictured at the bottom, alongside an invitation for readers to become game testers. Page 20 also includes a link to the XG2 review on page 36. This page continues the F-Zero X review, and it's a proper visual feast. In it, it's got Captain Falcon Bang in the center, looking as cool as ever, helmet and all. You've got some of the other pilots around him, like that big bruiser with EAD on his chest. That's gotta be Pico, the proper tank of a racer. And is that Jodie Summer up there? Nice. It's all very dramatic and colorful, showing off the kind of over-the-top action you expect from Phase Zero. The text at the bottom is a bit of a sales pitch, telling you to pick your pilot and get ready for the fastest racer on the N64. Well, they weren't wrong about the speed. F-Zero X was absolutely mental back then, and still is, to be fair. Proper adrenaline rush on the 64. Good times. F-Zero X delivers futuristic, high-speed racing with up to 30 racers. The review covers various game modes, including GP Race, Tournament, Time Attack, Death Race, Last Man Standing, Versus Battle, Multiplayer, and Practice. The Machines section highlights the 30 vehicles, starting with 6, and unlocking more. Each machine is rated on body, boost, and grip. The review provides examples like Golden Fox, Deep Claw, Hellhawk, and Mighty Hurricane, describing their handling characteristics. The soundtrack features screeching rock music that complements the fast-paced gameplay. Overall, the review gives a solid overview of F-Zero X's modes, vehicles, and general atmosphere. This review of F-Zero X highlights its exhilarating speed and challenging tracks, featuring loops, cylinders, and vertical drops. The gameplay emphasizes strategic use of turbos, aggressive attacks on rivals using side and spin attacks, and energy management. Multiplayer is touted as addictive, with a unique spin-the-wheel feature after crashes, possibly granting power-ups. The review also praises the challenging Black Bull vehicle. The game receives a high score of 92%, lauded as the definitive N64 racer with lightning-fast tracks and a thrilling driving experience. The review also mentions a free game offer to encourage purchase. NBA Jam 99 for the N64, released in December, offered a new installment in the popular basketball series. The review praises the game's graphics as awesome and superb, creating a visual experience. Gameplay included familiar modes like Jam and Quick Play. Slam dunks remained a highlight, though toned down for a more realistic feel. The game featured star players like Pippen, Kobe, and Shaq, though notably absent was Michael Jordan, whose avatar was cleverly disguised. However, the sound disappointed, with repetitive commentary being a drawback. Despite a slightly less fun arcade feel, the reviewer gave NBA Jam 99 an 89%, citing it as a top-tier basketball title, albeit with some changes compared to the original versions. This page is an advert for SD-ARS, clearly trying to muscle in on the kart racing genre that Nintendo had pretty much nailed with Mario Kart. They're boldly claiming Mario Kart-style nasty racing action, which is a bit of a reach. The advert also boasts about impressive-looking 3D graphics. Well, back in '98, 3D was still the future, wasn't it? Looking at the screenshots now, though. Anyway, you've got your roster of animal racers: cheetah, lion, cobra, mammoth, mantis, grizzly, gator, shark, and rhino, covering all the Animal Kingdom bases there. It was coming out on PlayStation, N64, and PC, so they were aiming for maximum coverage across platforms. It had 4-player split screen, which was standard for racers back then, perfect for shouting at your mates on the sofa. PlayStation Power magazine is quoted as calling it a peach, and the mad battle racing is a riot, so someone was clearly enjoying it. Games Master magazine also seemed to like it. They mentioned DualShock compatibility too. Remember when that rumble feature was revolutionary? They're really emphasizing the 3D visuals and sheer drivability of SCARS, clearly hoping it would be the next big thing in the genre. Wipeout 64, the futuristic racer for the N64, promises intense speed and weapon-based combat. Featuring 4-player split screen, it aims to deliver chaotic multiplayer experiences. The magazine praises the responsive controls utilizing the N64's analog stick. Set in 2097, players race anti-gravity racers in various modes, including single races, time trials, and a challenge mode. While acknowledging some pop-up, the graphics are deemed an improvement. Players choose from 4 teams, each with unique characteristics. Physar, beginner-friendly; Ag Systems, acceleration-focused but vulnerable; Quirex, protected but difficult to handle; and Oricom Research, speed and durability. The review advises using autopilot strategically. Overall, the game is anticipated to be a thrilling and fast-paced experience. Wipeout 64 for the N64 receives a positive review. Players praise its accessible controls, addictive weapon system, and the fact it's better than F-Zero X, according to one reviewer. The game features power-ups like Electro Bolt, Super Weapon, and Autopilot, adding to the racing action. Multiplayer, especially the 2-player split-screen mode, is highlighted as a strong point. The review advises players to learn the track layouts and control scheme to avoid wall collisions and shield depletion. The twisty tracks offer a challenge and length, potentially causing headaches for newcomers. Overall, Wipeout 64 earns an 87% score, lauded for its smooth gameplay, exciting weapons, and futuristic thrills, making it a worthwhile experience for its time. This is a review of NHL 99 for the N64, presented in a magazine-style format. The game promised fast-paced hockey action, with various modes like Exhibition, Tournament, and Playoffs. The review highlights the arcade-style controls, including wrist shots and slap shots. Graphics are lauded for their time, resembling a TV broadcast, while the sound effects, particularly the puck sounds, are praised, though the commentary is considered over the top. The game supports multiplayer, memory puck, and rumble puck. The reviewer gives NHL 99 an 85% score, concluding it's a solid, enjoyable hockey game, even if not a classic. It was priced at £39.99 and considered worth checking out for fans of the sport. GoldenEye. This page is a full-page advert from THQ, showcasing their Game Boy lineup under the banner, "Big action for your small screen." Bit rich considering the Game Boy screen size, but hey, it was the 90s. They're plugging 4 titles. First, Yoda Stories, yet another Star Wars game, arriving spring '99. Then Small Soldiers, based on the movie with the rampaging toys, coming in November. Expect frantic button bashing there. For Star Wars devotees, Return of the Jedi is already out, of course. And finally, World Cup '98, riding the football craze, also available now. So THQ had the Game Boy crowd sorted for action on the go. Quick on the draw, reviews Rakuga Kids, a N64 platform fighter, where drawings come to life. Released in December, the game features a crayon art style and a story about stopping a bully, Val, from stealing the magical drawings. Players choose from a diverse cast of characters, each with unique transformations and special moves. Examples include Mamezo, who turns into scissors, and Bear Tank, who transforms into a submarine. The review highlights the game's visual appeal and introduces a training mode where players teach their characters moves and save them on a memory pack. The reviewer suggests the game is aimed at a younger audience, offering a light-hearted alternative to more violent games. This page delves deeper into Rakuga Kids. Continuing on from the review, it bigs up the sound, saying the tunes fit the game and the speech is ace. There's a section highlighting mega moves, explaining how you build up magic to get crayons for special attacks. They've broken it down into a 6-step guide with screenshots, showing how to charge up the meter and use crayons for special moves like Astronaut's ray gun and DDJ's rocket launch, culminating in DDJ landing back on Earth, seemingly unimpressed. There's a bit about game length too, saying it's a change from the gore of games like Mortal Kombat 4, and easy to pick up. They reckon older gamers might get bored quick though, which is a bit cheeky. Nintendo official magazine's given it a score of 85%, calling it cute and cuddly, but still a proper fighting game, which is fair enough for a game with cartoon characters and crayons. And as you'd expect back then, there's a cutout voucher for £5 off at Electronics Boutique, valid until December 1998 Classic Magazine promo. Rally Edition 99 for the N64 is receiving a positive review, releasing on December 4th for £39.99. The reviewer calls it the best rally experience on the N64. Players can race on challenging terrains, compete in head-to-head matches or championships. The game features arcade mode for time trials, championship mode across 8 countries with diverse environments, time trials for record setting, and multiplayer for competitive racing. 11 rally cars are available, including the Citroën Exizara, Nissan Almera, and Peugeot 306. The Exizara excels on dry tracks, the Almera on straights, and the Peugeot 306 for top speeds. The review highlights Rally 99 as a serious rally game, a more mature experience than some of the other racing games available. Rally Edition 99 for N64 featured decent graphics for its time, with praise for car and track visuals, and a cool in-car view. The game included diverse weather conditions like sun, fog, rain, snow, and night, impacting gameplay. Sound was described as realistic, focusing on engine revs and co-driver calls. The review pondered if Rally was the best N64 driving game, or if Top Gear Rally was preferred, and asked for reader input. Car selection included descriptions of Seat Ibiza, Hyundai Coupe, Renault Megane, and Skoda Octavia, providing context for each car's strengths on different track types. Overall, it was a solid rally game for the platform. Rally Edition 99 for the N64 received a 90% score, lauded as awesome. The review highlights the initial learning curve of the controls, emphasizing the need for skillful braking and handbrake turns, mirroring authentic rally techniques. Tips are provided, including visual cues like warning arrows. The game's 2-player mode, dubbed 2-player tussles, is a standout feature, encouraging head-to-head competition with the potential for some playful nudging. User opinions from Usman and Irfan praise the game's visuals, speed, and overall 2-player experience, with Usman calling it the best rally game. Compared to competitors like Top Gear Rally and Multi-Racing Championship, Rally Edition 99 is crowned the champion for its realistic driving experience, surpassing even Top Gear Rally. It's described as challenging yet rewarding for both new and experienced players. This page is an advert for Starshot, Space Circus Fever, on the N64. Right then, Space Circus Fever? Sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? It's got that classic late 90s spacey vibe, with loads of stars swirling about, and the tagline, "Soon, a new star will be born." Bit dramatic for a game advert, even back then. Then there's Nothing on Earth will prepare you. Seems they're really going for the over-the-top angle here. You can see the Nintendo 64 logo, and the Infogrames logo. They published a fair few bits and bobs back in the day. Starshot Space Circus Fever is the game title, bold as brass in white and red. It definitely stands out against that dark space background. Copyright info's at the very bottom, all the legal stuff. So yeah, advert for Starshot. Not sure about a space circus. Sounds a bit different. Let's see if it was any good, or if it just faded into obscurity like so many N64 games did. XG2, Extreme G, the sequel to the futuristic racer, boasts biggest, meanest bikes and eye-popping tracks. Released on November 27th for £39.99, it supports Rumble Pack, multiplayer, and requires a memory pack. The game features single-player modes like time trials and arcade, along with head-to-head racing and battle arena for multiplayer. The Extreme Contest offers a championship mode with adjustable difficulty. The review notes the game's visual appeal, praising the improved bikes and tracks. However, the review states the game is let down by slow speed. Despite the mixed bag, the game offers fun, futuristic racing thrills with weapons, nitros, and a 4-player deathmatch mode. The review makes a comparison to F-Zero X, calling it a fierce race for consumers' attention. XG2, Extreme G offers improved controls and satisfying sound effects, including pumping music and impactful missile explosions. Tracks feature banked corners for aerial maneuvers. Multiplayer features tank battles with various weapons like heat seekers. The review highlights weapon usage, with a 4 firing and holding for power-ups. However, despite a decent 82% score, the review criticizes the game's lack of speed and poor multiplayer compared to titles like F-Zero X and Wipeout 64, ultimately leaving the reviewer wanting more. This page reviewing NFL Quarterback Club 99 on the N64 looks like they're properly trying to sell this as the realistic footy game to get. Forget that over-the-top blitz nonsense apparently. They're bragging it's got all the NFL teams and players, even those exciting NFL Europe teams, like the England Monarchs and Scottish Claymores. 4-player multiplayer is mentioned, which is always a laugh if you can get your mates round. Jolo. Looks-wise, they are saying it's super realistic, as close as you'll get to the real thing without actually going outside. Gameplay modes sound standard enough: NFL play, season, playoffs, and a slightly odd soccer-style knockout tournament. Not sure about that one. There's a practice mode for the clueless among us too. Choose Your Play section talks about the playbook being easy enough once you get your head around it. Run plays are blue, pass plays are yellow. Handy to know. And for the sounds, they've got proper American commentators Mike Patrick and Randy Cross, so if you're into that you'll probably be well chuffed. Lastly, they're banging on about celebrations. Loads of them. Mile High Salute, Chicken Dance, Raise the Roof, all to make it more realistic. Sounds a bit daft but might be a laugh after scoring a touchdown. Overall, they reckon it's a proper footy game for fans. Pricey at £44.99 mind you, but what wasn't back then? Out in late November, just in time for Christmas lists I suppose. Buster Move 3, a family-friendly puzzle game, is reviewed for Christmas entertainment. Priced at £39.99, releasing November 27th, it features multiplayer and Rumble Pack compatibility. The gameplay involves matching colored bubbles before they reach the bottom, with the added pressure of creeping bubbles. The reviewer praises its vibrant visuals, and particularly highlights the engaging 4-player mode. Despite some similarities to its predecessor, Buster Move 3 earns an 85% score, making it a good option for puzzle fans. In contrast, NFL Quarterback Club 99 on the preceding page receives a 90% score. The reviewer calls it awesome, highlighting its visual appeal, gameplay, and entertainment value, strongly recommending it for sports fans. This page we're looking at here is all about NFL Blitz for the N64. Right then, bone-breaking fun? They're not kidding. They're saying it's for those who can't be bothered with the more serious Madden or Quarterback Club games, and just want some fast and furious American football action. Fair enough, we all need to let off steam now and again. The price is a hefty £49.99, coming out on November 14th apparently. It's got all the usual bits and bobs: multiplayer, memory pack, rumble pack, the works. Apparently it's a really fast-paced arcade-style game, perfect for a quick 2-player match to settle those important arguments. They mention the teams are smaller, only 7-on-7, even though it's a full-size pitch. Makes passing easier apparently, though you've got to be quick about it. Visually they reckon it's just like the arcade game, and really aggressive, which I suppose is the point of Blitz. There are arcade and season modes, so you can have a quick bash, or play through a whole season if you've got the time. Arcade is just a quick match. Season mode you can save your progress on a memory pack, handy for bragging rights I suppose. All in all, sounds like a decent bit of arcade action if you fancy smashing into people on a pixelated football field. NFL Blitz is an arcade-style football game emphasizing fast-paced action and brutal tackles. Rules are relaxed, allowing multiple forward passes and late hits. Players can create custom pass plays in season mode. The game is designed to be easy to learn, with simple controls and helpful tips. Sound design focuses on gruesome tackles. The game receives high praise, with one reviewer calling it the best American footy sim they've played, highlighting the graphics, teams, and gameplay. It features two-player mode and promises action-packed gameplay. Cheat codes, including huge heads, invisible, and tiny players, are also included. The game earns a 90% score and an Awesome Award, praised for its speed and non-stop action. This N64 review covers Starshot, Space Circus Fever. Set in the 32nd century, you play as Starshot, a junior star juggler in a struggling space circus. The circus faces financial woes and competition from the rival Virtua Circus. Screenshots show promotional missiles, spaceship junkyards, jungle levels, and exploding robots. The game features characters like Starshot's robot pal Wilfol, the ringmaster Starcash, and the rival boss Wolfgang. The review mentions 24 sublevels, suggesting a challenging game. Gameplay is described as annoying with frequent deaths. While the graphics boast lush backgrounds and colorful characters, the camera angles are criticized. The review concludes that Starshot is a difficult game, best suited for patient players. This review of NASCAR 99 for the N64 highlights its features and shortcomings. The game, priced at £39.99, offers multiplayer, memory pack, and rumble pack compatibility. Players can choose from 37 drivers and 17 tracks, including a full season mode, single races, and multiplayer options. The game boasts race commentary and pit radio sounds and introduces a slingshot overtake technique. However, the review from Nintendo Official Magazine is not positive, criticizing the gameplay as boring and the tracks as uninspiring. Awarding a score of 62%, the review concludes that NASCAR 99 is only for dedicated fans of the sport, suggesting that others may find it disappointing. This page is a full-page ad for Sunny Delight. It's got a couple of folks on skateboards, looking like they're having a right laugh, all bathed in this orange-yellow light that, well, it's just screaming Sunny did, isn't it? Bottom left corner, you've got the classic Sunny Delight logo. Vitamins A, B1, and C apparently, as if that's why we were drinking it back then. More likely it was the sugar rush. Bit of a blurry image, makes it look like they're moving fast, just like trying to escape the taste of Sunny did, huh? Nah, just kidding, it was alright, wasn't it? Definitely remember seeing these ads back in the day. Pure 90s vibes. This page is still flogging that Sunny Delight, isn't it? Seems they're really pushing the sun thing, what with the bright yellow and orange colors and the slogan, whenever wherever reach for the sun. This time it's a fridge absolutely stuffed with Sunny D, and some bloke on a skateboard looking like he's about to grab one. There's another person in the background, bit blurry, probably meant to be his mate. It's all very 90s, trying to sell you the dream of sunshine and skateboarding, alongside your sugary orange drink. Remember all these ads back then? They were everywhere. Still, can't deny Sunny Dead was a guilty pleasure, especially on a hot day after a kickabout. This review from Official Nintendo Magazine discusses the N64 platformer, Glover. The game follows the typical plot of a wizard's mishap scattering crystals, which the player must retrieve. The review highlights the game's challenging controls, referencing a practice area and tutorial character, Mr. Tip. Glover features various types of balls with unique properties, aiming to diversify gameplay. The game also incorporates collectibles like yellow star cards, garibs, and temporary power-ups. The review emphasizes the game's vibrant visuals and wacky environments. While not revolutionary, the magazine notes Glover as an alright game. The game was priced at £39.99 upon release, and was thoroughly reviewed with ticks for key gameplay elements. This review of Bomberman Hero on the N64 highlights the game's features, and ultimately, its shortcomings. The game boasts a standard Bomberman story, a spaceship crash, a princess to rescue, and plenty of explosions. Gameplay involves navigating levels with tricky controls, utilizing various abilities like rolling, fist slamming, and transforming into a bowling ball to overcome obstacles. Power Gears offer unique powers like underwater exploration. The review praises the music and sound effects, but criticizes the platforming, lack of multiplayer, and complex controls. Compared to the previous game, Glover, which received an 85%. Bomberman Hero only scores a 72%. The reviewer concludes that while the series was once brilliant, this installment doesn't live up to expectations, calling it lame. Scars, a racing game for the N64 released just before Christmas, aimed to emulate Wipeout and F-Zero. Priced at £44.99, it features 9 mental motors based on animals, 9 tracks with weather effects, and a Grand Prix mode. The game includes multiplayer functionality, rumble packs, and memory pack support. Cars offer unique stats like the Lion for beginners, Mammoth for armor, and Shark for weapons. Weapons include missiles and the Magnet. While the Grand Prix mode offers limited replayability, the game's multiplayer is praised. Reviewers like the animal cars and weapons, with one calling the weapons some of the best he's seen in a racer. Although not a rival to F-Zero X or Mario Kart, Scars receives an 84% score, deemed worth a look for its multiplayer. This page is an advert for Holy Magic Century, or as it was known later on, Hybrid Heaven. Right then, Konami is shouting from the rooftops that this is the first RPG ever for the Nintendo 64. Bit strong that, isn't it? Anyway, they're calling it an adventure of epic proportions, and showing off some screenshots. Looks like your typical kind of action RPG affair. You know the drill. The main lad looks a bit like he's wandered out of some cartoon, all big eyes and spiky hair. Still, for the time, any RPG on the N64 was a bit of an event, so they were making a big song and dance about it. Konami were usually pretty solid, so you never know, might have been alright. This page is a big splash advert for the Game Boy Color. Remember when that came out? First UK test? All features and link-up sussed are all ticked off at the top there, so they were definitely highlighting all the key selling points. $69.99 it was, and out now it says in the game info box, so this is launch period stuff. Nintendo's Time Machine is back, they're calling it, and saying it'll make boring journeys disappear. A bit of marketing spiel. But to be fair, for long car journeys or train rides, having a bit of color gaming was a godsend compared to the old green screen brick. Now in full color, they keep hammering home. Well yeah, that was kind of the point, wasn't it? Still, can't deny it was a decent bit of kit back then. This page is another look at the Game Boy Color, still pushing the full color angle. It's a big picture of the purple handheld showing off a game. Looks like Super Mario Land 2 on the screen there, with Mario jumping about on a platform. They've got a little comment at the bottom saying, "Yup, the game is in beautiful full color." Well, cheers for pointing that out. It is called the Game Boy Color after all, but I suppose they were really wanting to hammer that home, weren't they? And they're calling it the world's best-selling games console. Confident bunch at Nintendo, weren't they? Still, you couldn't argue with the Game Boy's success, even back then. This page reviews the Game Boy Color, emphasizing its improved color screen compared to the original Game Boy. The screen is crisper, enhancing the visuals of both new and old games. With Tetris as an example, multiplayer is supported via link cables, including backwards compatibility with older Game Boy models. An infrared feature is included for data exchange, but not for full gameplay. The initial case colors are limited, with promises of more options. Battery life is a respectable 15 hours. Launch titles include Pocket Bomberman, Harvest Moon, and Mortal Kombat 4. Screenshots show off the color versions of Tetris and Wario Land 2. The review concludes that the Game Boy Color is a significant upgrade, offering improved visuals and a strong game lineup. This page is a bit of an odd one. It's an advert for a bank card called Solo, plastered all over what looks like some kind of inflatable blue suit or something. Very 90s if you ask me. They're pushing this card as a way to get into anything except the red, meaning avoid going overdrawn, which is sensible enough. Apparently with this Solo card you can buy all sorts of things and stay in control of your bank account. They're really hammering home the convenience of paying with plastic, which back then, debit cards were still a bit newer to some folks compared to cash or checks. It mentions you can check your balance every time you use it, and that you can't spend more than you have in your account. Which again, is the whole point of a debit card, isn't it? They say over 200,000 shops accept Solo, and you should look out for the purple sticker. It's trying to be all relatable to us gamers with the "suits you very well" tagline at the end, like it's some kind of cool lifestyle thing. Website is switch.co.uk. Must be for switching banks. Fairly straightforward marketing, just a bit bizarre with the inflatable fashion choice, but hey, it grabs your attention, doesn't it? BT's is advertising its Magnificent 7 deals for the Nintendo 64. These bundles include the console, a controller, either GoldenEye or Mario 64, and Joytech accessories. Customers choose from various games at different price points, ranging from £24.99 to £49.99. The £24.99 tier features classics like Doom and Bomberman 64. At £29.99, options include Cruising USA and Duke Nukem 3D. £34.99 unlocks titles such as NBA Hang Time and Shadows of the Empire. The £39.99 list overlaps with some £29.99 games. The top tier £49.99 games are not specified. The ad uses a Western theme, and the prices seem reasonable for the time, making BT's a good choice for N64 bundles. This BT's mail order advert from the old days showcases Nintendo 64 games and hardware. Zelda, Ocarina of Time, F-Zero-X, and NHL 99 are priced at £49.99, each with a free Jolt Pack or VHS video. Rally, Mission Impossible, Starshot Space Circus, and Body Harvest are priced at £39.99, with either a Jolt Pack or a 1 meg memory card. The N64 console is advertised for £99.98, bundled with Mario 64 or GoldenEye. A Now and December game listing reveals the release status of titles. Some games were already available, including Banjo-Kazooie and NHL 99, while others like NBA Jam 99 and Turok 2 were coming soon. The advert also includes older titles. Orders are placed via mail order, with a form to fill out, costing £2.95 for postage, a contrast to modern online shopping. This page is shouting at you right away with a headline screaming, "Virgin Festive Bribe Shocker." Bit much, isn't it? Looks like Virgin megastores trying to get in on the Christmas action back in the day. They're tempting you to spend £50 and we'll slip something to you, probably some rubbish freebie, but hey, free is free. They're pushing a few N64 games here. First up is Gex 3D Enter the Gecko, which was alright, a bit of a platformer if you were into that sort of thing, though not exactly Mario 64 levels of brilliance, was it? Then there's Body Harvest, now that was a bit different, some weird sci-fi action game. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil is there too, dinosaurs and guns, always a winner for some mindless fun. Banjo-Kazooie, a proper classic platformer from Rare, everyone loved that one back then, a solid choice. And lastly Rally Edition 99, if you were into your racing games, though there were better ones on the N64 to be honest. Still, not a bad selection of games to try and tempt you to part with your Christmas money. Looks like they were hoping to shift a few copies in the festive rush. This page, it's Virgin Megastores again, still trying to flog us some N64 stuff, this time with a £5 voucher bribe. They're showing off a few more games. There's Buck Bumble, remember that one? Flying around as a bumblebee, shooting things. Bit of an odd one really, wasn't exactly a classic, but kids probably went for it. Then there's 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, now that was alright actually, a decent snowboarding game back in the day if you were into that sort of thing. And finally, F-Zero-X, proper fast futuristic racing, could get a bit hectic. Proper sense of speed, mind you. So yes, spend your hard-earned cash at Virgin, and they'll give you a £5 back. Might get you a bit off one of these 164 games for Christmas. Don't go spending it all at once now. This advert from Gameplay, dated late 1998, showcases N64 console bundles and games. The company aggressively advertised powerful consoles at Britain's lowest prices, offering bundles with games like Mario 64, Top Gear Rally, and International Superstar Soccer 98. They even touted free 48-hour delivery. The ad featured a wide selection of N64 games including classics like Zelda, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, and Mario Kart 64, alongside sports titles and quirky games such as Micro Machines, 64 Turbo and Blast Corps. Accessories were also promoted, from extra controllers and memory cards to third-party steering wheels and joysticks. The ad concluded with a traditional mail-order form, complete with a cutout section and payment by check, a stark contrast to modern online purchasing methods. The ad's focus on the Christmas rush of '98 evokes a sense of nostalgia for the pre-internet gaming era. This total test section acts as the magazine's review hub, guided by Yoshi. It promises monthly coverage of all Nintendo games, with updated information. This month's content includes hardware reviews like control pads and rumble packs, referenced with page numbers. Features are also previewed for Game Boy and Nintendo numbers. Reference 64 Magic reviews 1080 Degrees Snowboarding and Mortal Kombat 4. Other sections highlighted include Most Wanted, High Street Deals, and Top 10s. The scoring system ranges from real rubbish to amazing game you must play, 90% plus. An awesome award is given for games scoring above 90%. A Turok 2 preview with a violent tagline is featured. F-Zero X is mentioned too. This magazine section reviews N64 games. Aero Fighters Assault receives a low score, while All-Star Baseball 99 earns a stellar 90%. The Most Wanted section highlights upcoming releases like Castlevania, Micro Machines, and Ocarina of Time. Aerogauge is panned, whereas Banjo-Kazooie gets a near-perfect score. Other reviews include Airborder 64, mixed, Biofreaks, negative, Body Harvest, positive, Blastcore, positive, Buck Bumble, positive, Chameleon Twist and Bomberman 64, poor, Buster Move 2, positive, and Chopper Attack, decent. Overall, the reviews showcase the N64's mixed library, with some outstanding titles alongside disappointing ones. This page reviews various rumble packs for Banjo-Kazooie, highlighting models from Joytech, Gamester, Nintendo, and others, including features like memory and glowing effects. The reviews also cover a range of N64 games. Diddy Kong Racing earned a high score of 92%, praised for its fun gameplay. Duke Nukem 64 received an 86%. Other titles like Extreme G, 80%, F1 World Grand Prix, 87%, Cruisin' World, 83%, and Doom 64, 78%, received decent scores. Conversely, Clayfighter 63 1/3 was panned with a 25% rating. FIFA 64, Cruisin' USA, Dark Rift, Dual Heroes, and Gasp also got reviewed, with mixed results. The reviews highlight a mixed selection of quality in the N64 game library. GIG. This page is a rather odd image. It depicts what appears to be three wise men on camels, but with a distinct gaming theme. One of the figures is pointing towards the night sky, where a constellation shaped like an N64 controller is visible. Amusingly, the camels themselves are laden with N64 paraphernalia. One has a large Interact controller as part of its saddle, and the other carries a couple of regular controllers. It's a visual pun, likely referencing the biblical story, but in a gaming context, perhaps suggesting the wise men have found a new guiding star in the form of Nintendo 64. It's a slightly surreal image for a gaming magazine page, but it's got a certain charm, I suppose. This page is a full-page advert from Interact, playing on that whole wise men theme from the last page. Very Christmassy, isn't it? They're pushing their N64 controllers, the Macopad, Ultra Racer Pad, and the V3 Racing Wheel. The Macopad is touted as a second-generation N64 pad, with a clear casing, auto-fire, and all the usual bells and whistles like slow motion and a steel analog stick, fancy stuff back then. Then there's the Ultra Racer, which is another pad, this one boasting a comfort grip and programmable buttons, making it sound a bit more pro. And for the racing fans, they've got the V3 Racing Wheel, claiming to be the most versatile wheel available, with a 300-degree rotation and proper foot pedals. They're really going for it, saying Interact is the biggest and best controller company, designed by gamers and all that marketing spiel. Bottom line is, if you were after a controller back then, especially a third-party one for extra players, Interact were a big name. They were everywhere, weren't they? This N64 Christmas Roundup features FIFA 98 89%, offering standard football gameplay with good graphics and multiplayer fun. Wicked Wheels showcases a range of racing wheels, including the G64 steering wheel, best of the rest, and the Top Gear, awesome, catering to various budgets and features. Games reviewed include Fighter's Destiny, 85%, a beat-em-up with special moves, and Forsaken, 90%, a visually stunning sci-fi shooter though reportedly difficult to control. Gex, 64, 78%, is a platformer, and GoldenEye 007, 94%, is hailed as a must-play shooter based on the Bond film. Finally, the review covers essential N64 accessories, like controller keyrings, cleaning kits, SCART cables, and controller extension cables. The Total Test section starts with nostalgia for 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, considered a top snowboarding game. Then, the reviews begin. International Superstar Soccer 64 receives 91%, praised for its arcade football action and multiplayer. Hexen 64 gets a low 50%, criticized for poor graphics and dull levels. Holy Magic Century scores 84%, recommended for RPG fans. International Superstar Soccer 98 earns 93%, considered superior to its predecessor. Iggy's Wrecking Balls gets 83%, a unique racer. Killer Instinct Gold scores 80%, a solid 2D beat-em-up. Lilac Wars, Star Fox 64, receives 91%, lauded for its sci-fi action. Lamborghini gets 76%, a fast-paced racer. Finally, Mace, The Dark Age scores 79%, a gory fighter with average gameplay. Game Boy sees a solid conversion of Monopoly, 84%. Mischief Makers gets a decent 74%, but MK Mythologies flops at 36%. N64 shines with Mario Kart 64 90%, and Mortal Kombat 4 90%. Madden Football 64 earns 86% for its realism, while Mission Impossible gets 81% despite some unevenness. MK Trilogy on the N64 bombs at 51%. A numbers section lists phone numbers for game companies like Nintendo and Acclaim, a relic of the era. This page reviews a range of Nintendo 64 titles. Multi-Racing Championship is deemed steady but dull, 83%. Nagano Winter Olympics, 98-75%, is decent but gets boring. NBA Courtside earns high praise for its graphics, scoring an 89%. Off-Road Challenge, 68%, is slow and disappointing. NBA Hangtime, 75%, offers fun gameplay. NBA Pro 98 and Olympic Hockey both score 82%. Rampage receives a low score of 53%. Mystical Ninja shines at 88%, along with NHL Breakaway, 98. Pilot Wings 64 scores 84%. Robotron 64 80%, is good but short-lived. San Francisco Rush is criticized for its controls, 74%. Quake gets a high score of 88%, and Silicon Valley, 82%, is a bizarre puzzler. Snowboard Kids rounds things out at 81%, lacking course variety. This retro gaming page features deals on Nintendo 64 games. Electronics Boutique offers discounts on F1 Pole Position and Dual Heroes. BT's has F1 World Cup Grand Prix bundles, and F-Zero X with a Jolt Pack. HMV is selling a console bundle with GoldenEye or Super Mario 64, a Joytech controller, and a Rumble Pack. The top 10 N64 UK chart is led by 1080 Snowboarding. Game reviews include Shadows of the Empire, 74%, Super Mario 64, 92%, Tetrisphere, 83%, Virtual Chess, 64%, 1080 Snowboarding, 90%, and YLA Golf, 64%. A contest encourages readers to submit their favorites N64 games, and there's a Midland Bank advertisement. This page discusses Nintendo 64 memory packs and game reviews, with a quirky frog theme. The memory pack section details various options: the official Nintendo controller pack, 256K, Spectra Video, 256K and 1 meg, Joytech, 256K and 1 meg, and Datal, 1 meg and 4 meg. The Lex 4 memory pack is considered good, but pricey. Game reviews include Top Gear Rally, 85%, praised for realistic handling and challenging gameplay. Turok scores an 87% for its dinosaur-filled, weapon-heavy action. Turok 2 earns a high 94%, lauded as one of the best N64 shooters. Finally, a famous 5-frog chorus section highlights games featuring frogs, including Slippy, Lylat Wars, Toads, Diddy Kong Racing, and others like Frog Knights and Fibbits, Banjo-Kazooie. This article reviews N64 accessories and rental charts. Numerous third-party controllers are examined, including the Macapad, InteractPad, and Arcade Shark, with the official Nintendo controller earning a Nintendo Awesome badge. The G64 controller is highlighted as best of the rest. The Blockbuster rental chart reveals the most popular rentals. Mission Impossible tops the list, followed by F1 World Grand Prix, WWF Warzone, and others. Short game reviews offer varied scores. War Gods receives a low score, while Wave Race 64 and WCW/NWO Revenge get high praise and Nintendo Awesome badges. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey also earns high marks. Rental recommendations include WCW/NWO Revenge, F1 WGP, Buck Bumble, and Body Harvest, War. Total Test Magazine reviews N64 games, starting with WWF Warzone, a button-bashing wrestling game earning a 90%. Weetrix, a Tetris-like puzzle game, scores 88% for its addictive gameplay and graphics, though multiplayer is lacking. World Cup 98 gets 91% for its fun multiplayer and controls. Yoshi's Story, with its classic Mario elements, receives 88% despite its dated visuals. WCW vs. NWO, a wrestling game with over 40 fighters, gets 86% despite slowdown. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time is praised as the best game ever, earning a 97%. Finally, the magazine highlights Mortal Kombat 4 fatalities with graphic screenshots. This HMV advertisement from 1998 promotes N64 games, specifically highlighting a voucher deal. Spend £20, get £50 in vouchers. The ad showcases 4 games: Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, a gory dinosaur shooter; Body Harvest, a time-traveling open-world action game; Rally 99 Edition, a rally racing game; and International Superstar Soccer 98, a realistic football game. Aiming to attract customers for Christmas, the ad reflects popular N64 titles of the era and the competitive gaming landscape with other titles, such as Colin McRae Rally and FIFA. It was a standard marketing approach to boost sales, especially for those fortunate enough to receive a console and games as gifts. This page is another HMV advert, carrying on from the voucher deal. They're showing off some of the must-have N64 games for Christmas. You've got Mario Kart 64, still the king of kart races at the time, and GoldenEye 007, the console FPS that everyone was playing, even your mum probably had a go at that one. Then there's WCW/NWO Revenge, a proper wrestling game when WCW was still going head-to-head with WWF, and for Zero X, ridiculously fast futuristic racing, good luck keeping up with that. For platforming, they've got Banjo-Kazooie, rare at their best back then, and of course, Zelda. Ocarina of Time, still considered by many to be the best game ever made, a proper classic. Finally, 1080 Snowboarding, a decent snowboarding game if you were into that sort of thing. They're also chucking in a free VibraPack memory thing, worth about a $5, if you buy any N64 game with the sticker on it. It's all part of their Top Dog for Christmas campaign, typical Christmas marketing push. This Nintendo 64 magazine spread offers tips and cheats for a variety of games. Featured titles include Banjo-Kazooie, Mission Impossible, NFL Blitz, and older classics like GoldenEye 007 and F-Zero X. The Banjo-Kazooie section reveals locations for hidden Cheeto spellbooks. Mission Impossible provides cheat codes for invincibility and other enhancements, including the humorous giant heads. NFL Blitz receives attention with gameplay advice and cheat codes for big heads and fast passes. The magazine also briefly mentions The Legend of Zelda and F1 World Grand Prix, offering page references for specific sections. A tip service encourages reader submissions. This page offers tips for N64 games. WWF Warzone has strategies for unlocking wrestler costumes by completing challenge mode with Kane, a dizzying create a wrestler trick, and how to call for tag team assistance using button combinations. 1080 Degrees Snowboarding provides a fast start tip and details on unlocking hidden borders, Crystal, Metal, and Panda, each requiring specific match accomplishments. Finally, F1 World Grand Prix hints at a bonus track, advising the use of a mirror to find it, while making a controversial statement about Michael Schumacher. Overall, the page presents a collection of cheats and unlocks, typical of the N64 era. This N64 tips page offers various cheats and secrets. BioFreaks gets a first-person view trick. Warzone lets you play as the trainer. Super Mario 64 has a rumored, unclear 1080 degrees mode. F-Zero X has a mirror code unlocking everything. Wetrix reveals special icons with a rainbow screen. Iggy's Wrecking Balls has level and character select cheats. The Play God section provides invincibility cheats for popular shooters like GoldenEye 007 and Duke Nukem. Finally, a GoldenEye tip speeds up character dialogue, and there's an invitation to call the magazine for gaming advice. This page is a full-page spread advert for Woolworths. Proper retro this is, harking back to the days when Woolies was still on the high street. It's quite the visual statement. They've gone and filled a whole room, floor to ceiling it looks like, with bags of Walker's crisps. Madness, isn't it? Above this crisp mountain there's these floating N64 controllers, just hanging in the red space. Down at the bottom we get to the point, it's all about selling games, specifically Nintendo 64 titles. They are pushing Zelda, Ocarina of Time naturally. That was the big one everyone was waiting for back then. Out on the 18th of December 98. Priced at £49.99, which was a fair chunk of change at the time. Then there's Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, bit of a shooter, released earlier on the 4th of December, also £39.99. Rally Edition 99, for the racing fans, same release date as Turok 2 and price tag. And lastly, WCW/NWO Revenge, for the wrestling crowd, out on the 27th of November, and again £49.99. So, all the big hitters for Christmas '98 basically. Woolies are saying, we've got all the latest Nintendo releases, which is pretty much bang on if you were after the N64 must-haves for that Christmas season. Mad to think how much these games cost back then, eh? £50 for a game, crisps mountain and all, it's a proper nostalgic advert. This Your Tips section features reader-submitted gaming secrets. WWF Warzone tips reveal how to play as Mike Tyson and Turok, including character customization and voice lines activated by button combinations. Is 98 highlights a technique for scoring impressive corner goals. GoldenEye 07's tip details a strategy for easily completing the train level on 0-0 agent difficulty. Finally, Banjo-Kazooie offers cheat codes for unlimited Mumbo tokens and red feathers within the Treasure Trove Cove level. Hey! This Nintendo official magazine page is a guide to various N64 game tips. It includes combat moves for Mace, the Dark Age characters, and solves a mission. Impossible cheat code issue by differentiating between US and UK codes. A mystical ninja starring Goemon walkthrough helps players find Sasuke's batteries, while WWF Warzone tips cover unlocking secret characters via button combos. A Banjo-Kazooie tip directs players to the Monster Mansion Jiggy, and GoldenEye tips offer strategy for License to Kill and Bodyguard modes. Finally, a Can You Help section addresses a Zelda Game Boy boss fight and a Bomberman 64 customization puzzle. The magazine also features a contest asking for readers to submit gameplay tips. This page, Your Scores, highlights top scores in 64 games. 4 hot challenges are featured: 1080 snowboarding, fastest mountain village time; F-Zero X, fastest silence cup time; Forsaken, quickest nuke completion with enemy elimination; and F1 World Grand Prix, fastest Monaco circuit time. The results include Top Gear Rally, Coastline Track, Samuel Kitson, 327.78, Lilac Wars, Star Fox 64, Maximum Hits, John Davies, 2212, Diddy Kong Racing, Spaceport Alpha, Trev Collis, 123.78, and GoldenEye 007, Cradle, most kills in 20 minutes, Andrew McLean, 282, with a playful tip to avoid killing Trevelyan. The page celebrates player achievements, reflecting the era's enthusiasm for high scores. This magazine hosted a GoldenEye 007 challenge, where players competed to kill 50 enemies on the jungle level for a chance to win £250 of Nintendo gear. The deadline for submissions was March 31, 1999, with the final taking place on Saturday, November 21 at Nom Towers. Top 10 finalists were also competing for fastest time, completing 30 kills on Surface 1. Cheating was strictly forbidden. The magazine also announced they'd be at the BBC Big Bash in Birmingham, challenging players in Fazwa X and Turok 2 Deathmatch. To enter, players had to photograph their score screen, including their name, address, and picture. Additional prizes were offered for topping high-score leagues. Final rules included random multiplayer character selection and disqualification for no-shows. Acer. This guide, from the official Nintendo magazine of the late 90s, provides a beginner's introduction to The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It starts with a walkthrough of Kokiri Forest, offering tips for new players. The guide covers basic gameplay like exploration and rupee collection. It includes advice on using the camera effectively, a then novel concept. Key features include Z-targeting and changing camera angles with C buttons. The walkthrough then moves into Kokiri Forest, detailing sections like Mido's house, the Lost Woods, the Know-It-All Brothers, and the Boulder Dash for acquiring the Kokiri sword. The guide emphasizes exploration, collecting items, and learning the game's mechanics. This guide to Kokiri Forest in Ocarina of Time offers essential tips for new players. It starts with the Kokiri shop, advising on early item acquisition, including shields and Deku nuts, while encouraging players to scavenge for rupees. It covers the One-Eyed Stone, Gossip Stone, and explains the importance of cutting grass for rupees. The guide then outlines the Lost Woods and provides a clear map to prevent players from getting lost. It highlights the Deku tree's significance and the need to enter it. Other sections cover Deku Babas, providing advice on obtaining Deku sticks. Mido's role in blocking access to the Deku Tree until properly equipped is also mentioned. The guide directs players to Saria's house for heart pieces, and the training area is suggested for practicing combat. Finally, the House of Twins is referenced for its rupee rewards. Overall, the guide provides a comprehensive overview of Kokiri Forest's starting areas, preparing players for the adventure. This full-page advertisement for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time is a visual masterpiece. The composition dramatically portrays an epic adventure, centering on Link in both his young and adult forms, bathed in holy light. Adult Link brandishes the Master Sword and Hylian shield, while young Link holds the ocarina. The ad showcases key characters like Zelda, skeletal enemies hinting at a darker tone, and a menacing Ganondorf. Princess Ruto, Darunia, and Navi are also present, representing the game's diverse cast. Hyrule Castle looms in the background under a night sky, emphasizing the game's grand scale. The advert successfully hyped the upcoming N64 title, promising a next-gen Zelda experience, further enticed by the offer of a free poster. This guide offers advanced tips for Zelda, Ocarina of Time, building on the Kokiri Forest section. It emphasizes the importance of the Z targeting system for locking onto enemies, using A for interaction/attacks, and managing multiple targets. Next, it covers Navi, your fairy companion. The guide advises paying attention to Navi for vital clues and guidance, including following her when she flies off. Combat moves are explained, focusing on the Kokiri sword and using B with Z targeting to execute various attacks. Jump attacks, sideways jumps, and backflips are highlighted. Finally, the guide touches upon weapon and spell control, referencing the equipment screen and C button assignments. It explains the on-screen item icons and the purpose of the top right button for context-sensitive B actions. This guide provides early strategies for navigating the Deku Tree dungeon in The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It starts with obtaining essential items like the fairy slingshot, critical for ranged attacks, and the compass, vital for navigation. It then details how to use Navi to target spiders, climb ledges for the dungeon map, and handle Deku Scrubs using your shield and rolls. The guide also covers defeating Big Skull Tulas, emphasizing the need to shoot their bellies. Finally, it leads you to the basement by breaking cobwebs, a standard early-game dungeon experience for N64 gamers. This guide details strategies for the Deku Tree dungeon in Ocarina of Time. It covers basic combat against Deku Scrubs using shields and swords. Advice is given on how to defeat spiders with sword and slingshot. The primary focus is on the boss, Goma, where you must target its eye with the slingshot when red, then attack with the sword. It also notes to deal with baby Gomas. The guide then touches on the Deku Scrub bosses, explaining the order to bounce their nuts back to defeat them. 2, 3, 1. Finally, it mentions a secret Deku salutes you cutscene, and ends with a promotion for future guide issues. This article from a magazine focuses on the Furnace Fun quiz show in Banjo-Kazooie. It promises help for beating Gruntilda's challenging quiz, which changes with each playthrough. While specific answers aren't provided, the guide offers Grunty's sneaky secrets, advising players to collect jokers and avoid skull squares. The article also highlights the importance of honeycomb pieces and provides a tip for the first junction. A humorous section, Grunty's 27 Fearsome Facts, details quirky facts about Gruntilda and her sister Brentilda, including her favorite foods, hobbies, and habits. Screenshots of the game board are included, and the Nintendo logo confirms the content source. This guide details the final boss battle against Gruntilda in Banjo-Kazooie. Before you even begin, ensure you have all 900 musical notes and every jiggy for potential bonus rewards. The battle consists of 5 stages. First, Grunty's swoop involves dodging her dives and hitting her with eggs. Next, in battlements, hide behind cover and egg her during breaks in her fireball attacks. The broom battle uses a flight pad, collect feathers and bomb Gruntilda from above. Jinjo's Revenge requires timing egg shots into holes in front of Jinjo statues. Finally, the Jinjo Naota stage involves dodging fireballs, using a gold feather for invincibility, and firing eggs into a statue in a specific sequence. Successfully completing all stages defeats Gruntilda, leading to the game's conclusion. The guide ends with a congratulatory message and a humorous secret section, typical of the era. This guide focuses on mastering F1 World Grand Prix on the N64, specifically the Silverstone circuit for the British Grand Prix. It offers advice on car settings, emphasizing acceleration, top speed, and sensitive steering, while also highlighting the importance of fuel management. The guide then provides a detailed track breakdown, with tips for each bend. It suggests optimal gear choices, second, third and fourth, and braking points to navigate corners effectively, including the use of the racing line to avoid spins. The goal is to help players optimize their performance and avoid finishing last. Gear kit. This page continues the F1 World Grand Prix track guides, this time taking us to Germany and Hungary. For Germany, race 10 they're calling it Schuey's home circuit, meaning Michael Schumacher of course, and the tip is to get your car set up for top speed because of the massive straights. They run through 6 numbered sections of the track, each with a little map snippet and a screenshot from the game showing Damon Hill in the arrows. The advice for Germany is all about managing your speed through the bends to maximize your pace on those long straights. Nothing too complicated, just basic racing line stuff really, easing off the gas and getting ready for the next straights. Warrington Knoll. Then it's on to Hungary, race 11, which they describe as a looping track that'll drive you loopy. Sounds about right. The Hungaroring is notoriously twisty. Here they suggest forgetting about top speed and focusing on acceleration instead. Again, 6 numbered sections with maps and screenshots. The tips for Hungary are much more about handling the tight corners, using lower gears, and keeping an eye on trackside markers to judge your braking. They even call it a nightmare track at one point, which is a bit dramatic, but Hungary is definitely a challenge in F1 games, even back then. Both guides are straightforward and to the point, classic N64 magazine advice, nothing groundbreaking, but helpful enough for players wanting to shave off a few seconds. This page carries on with the F1 World Grand Prix track guides, this time taking us to Belgium race 12 and Italy race 13. Belgium, they say Spa is a superb track and easy, apart from a couple of serious bends. Right then, Spa easy? I'll believe it when I see it. They break down Spa into 6 sections, pointing out the mega U-bend at the start, advising to take it slow and steady. Then there's another U-bend, not as bad as the first they reckon, and then onto the home straight where you need to watch out for the pit lane entrance. Wouldn't want to accidentally end up there, would you? U-bend up. Moving on to Italy, race 13, Monza, the home of the Tifosi. They're saying Monza is all about speed, proper speed demon territory. Makes sense, Monza is always flat out. Again, 6 sections, starting with the opening straight where you got to double tap A to get through the gears quickly, and then there's a blip in the first straight to watch out for so you don't crash. Then there's a right angle bend, and another corner to cut slightly. The last bit they say is a gradual U-bend you can blast through in 4th gear. Finishes off with a NYEEEOWWW. Bit where they're saying you're doing well if you're on target for a podium and to stay up late to watch the Grand Prix on telly. Secret track next time, eh? Intriguing. This is a retro call and win competition from the 90s, offering a variety of prizes, primarily games and consoles. The games on offer include PlayStation classics like Metal Gear Solid, Tekken 3, and Tomb Raider 2, as well as Nintendo 64 hits like GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie. The prize pool includes a Nintendo 64 with games, a Game Boy with accessories, and even a PlayStation driving seat. To enter, participants had to call premium rate numbers, typical of magazine competitions. The page highlights the nostalgia associated with these classic games and the era's technological trends, such as pages and the Game Boy camera. Club Mario features reader letters discussing game availability issues and disappointments, particularly with Turok 2. A review of Mission Impossible on N64 rates it at 91%, praising its stealth elements but criticizing its easy levels and blocky graphics. The Who's the Hero quiz is present, along with the hit list, where readers share opinions. World Cup 98 receives praise and a suggestion to swap it for ISS 98. Gran Turismo and F1 World Grand Prix are debated. Perfect Dark hype is high, and a reader desires more game realism. A reader regrets swapping games based on a review. Lastly, the Game Boy camera section showcases a silly picture. This month's reader chart winner is James Cowan from Northern Ireland, whose top 5 games include Quake 64, GoldenEye 007, and Banjo-Kazooie. The magazine also features a Nintendo quiz, Name That Game, and the character guessing game, Who's the Hero? The letters page includes reader feedback, Simon from Ballycastle questions, the lack of WWF Warzone coverage, and another Simon dislikes 100% scores. Julian from Darlington seeks Christmas game recommendations like Turok 2 and 1080 snowboarding. James from Tamworth praises the magazine's tips, and Peter in Lincoln anticipates Zelda and Castlevania. Mark from Saltburn inquires about keyrings, answered by the magazine. The Mario Mart section advertises keyrings, like Donkey Kong and Mario figures. Matthew Whitrick, a North London Nintendo enthusiast, is featured in the magazine showcasing his Nintendo-themed bedroom. A self-proclaimed walking Nintendo encyclopedia, Matthew's favorite game is GoldenEye, and he considers Rare the best game developer. He acquired his N64 on its UK release day, and enjoys South Park and LEGO Technics. For a school project on Nintendo history, he achieved top marks. As a result of the feature, he received Top Gear prizes, including 1080 snowboarding, ISS 98, a third controller, and a Rumble Pack. The magazine also invites other Nintendo fans to submit their own rooms. Decade. This magazine issue features a reader feedback section, Who's the Hero?, with opinions on game scores, Banjo-Kazooie, and anticipated games like FIFA 99 and Turok 2. Readers also discuss versus Wipeout 64, and the Game Boy Color and expansion pack in Mario's hit list. A bus ticket bonanza competition offers N64s, Game Boy Colors, games and more, as prizes through a scratch card entry system. Anyone could enter, regardless of ticket ownership. The issue concludes with a standard Who Does What section listing the staff and legal information. The Blagfest competition offered N64 prizes. Wheels of Steel gave away 5 GameStar steering wheel sets. The question regarded Formula One racing. Holy Smoke offered 10 copies of Holy Magic Century/Eldergate, asking about the game's setting. F-Zero Hero had 3 copies of L0X and a question about a shared track with Mario Kart 64. Attack the Track for Rally Edition 99 offered 5 game copies and 2 t-shirts, with a question about the number of countries in the game. To enter, contestants mailed a postcard or envelope with answers and details to a London address. The GameStar G64 awesome control steering wheel for the N64 is touted as a must-have accessory, featuring rumble and foot pedals. Advertisements highlight positive reviews from various magazines. Nintendo Official Magazine calls it excellent, N64 Pro finds it innovative and good-looking, and the Daily Star claims it kicks like a mule. Other reviews praise its appeal to boy racers and suitability for games like Diddy Kong Racing. Games Master and Total 64 give it high scores. The ad also promotes the G64 controller range, with turbo and auto-fire features. Sold by Lader, the ad slogan is, "The Unfair Advantage," leveraging the buzz from a previous competition giving away the wheels. Nintendo News previews the upcoming N64 game, South Park, developed by Acclaim. Scheduled for release in spring 1999, the game promises a kick-ass blaster experience. The plot involves a comet, rampaging turkeys, and Cartman's mother being abducted by aliens, requiring players to save her. The game features the iconic characters Cartman, Kyle, Stan, and Kenny. Screenshots showcase Kenny's perilous encounters with turkeys and the use of cheesy poofs for health. The issue also highlights other N64 games like Battle Tanks, Duke Nukem, Zero Hour, and Mario Party, alongside Game Boy titles such as Pokémon and Zelda, offering a diverse selection of genres. This page continues the South Park preview from the previous page, and it's certainly playing up the humor of Kenny's constant deaths. We've got a big danger slapped across the top, which is pretty apt for anything South Park related, especially when Kenny's involved. The image itself shows Kenny looking like he's had a bit of a run-in with some serious voltage, all skeletal and glowing orange, fitting for a game where he's likely to meet his maker multiple times. The background is an electrical box, wires and all, which ties into the danger theme. At the bottom there's a little blurb, "Scratch Kenny for another episode." The Lil Anorak dude meets his maker in another vicious killing. Funny that. It's classic South Park dark humor, and they're definitely selling the game on its, shall we say, unique take on gameplay, which for South Park back then was probably quite novel. In the corner we've got the Nintendo News banner again, and Nintendo 101 at the bottom looks like a regular feature spot in the magazine. It's a simple page, not too much to it, really focusing on the South Park game's chaotic and slightly morbid humor, which, to be fair, was a big part of its appeal back then. This review focuses on a South Park game's multiplayer mode, promising chaotic fun with characters like Officer Barbrady, Mr. Hanky, and Chef. Players can battle using wacky weapons like snowballs, a cow launcher, and stink bombs. The reviewer compares it to a comic version of Turok 2, anticipating a fun experience. The Fast News section announces Game Boy Color releases, including Shanghai Pocket. Also, Top Gear Overdrive is getting expansion pack support for better graphics. Finally, Star Wars: The Phantom Menace is coming to N64, along with a rollerball game based on the film. Monaco Grand Prix, featuring improved graphics and a track editor, rounds out the N64 news. This retro gaming magazine page advertises competitions from back in the day. Participants could phone premium rate numbers, answer a question, and instantly win prizes. Prizes included a Nintendo 64 console, and games like Mission Impossible, F1 World Grand Prix, 1080 Snowboarding, and Turok 2. There were also games accessories. Further down, less appealing titles like Alien Attack were listed, followed by a Pentium 2 computer with Windows 98 and a CD player in a Coke can. Other prizes included an Adidas watch, Amstrad Hi-Fi, Sony Discman, rollerblades, another N64, Game Boy camera, a Sony PlayStation, and Tomb Raider 2 and Tekken 2 games. A wide variety of games and gadgets were available, but calling the numbers would likely result in a hefty phone bill. This page is all about Duke Nukem 0 Hour on the N64, remember that one? Developed by Euro.com, proper shoot-'em-up released in March '99. They're banging on about awesome graphics. Well, for the time they were alright. Polygons were polygons back then. It's expansion pack compatible, so you know they were pushing the boat out visually for the old N64. Apparently, Duke's back to deal with aliens messing with time. Bit cliche, even for Duke, but hey, lizard men in the Wild West, zombies. It's got all the classic Duke enemies. They are promising loads of time zones to blast through, and plenty of bosses to take down. Always good to have a bit of monster variety. The write-up mentions 4-player modes, which was always a laugh on the N64, split-screen chaos. They even highlight the sniper rifle as a weapon, and give some gameplay tips, like bouncing laser shots off walls, bit of geometry fun there. And a freezer gun. Classic Duke. Freeze 'em and roast 'em. Standard Duke fare really. Big guns, explosions, and cheesy one-liners probably. Seems like they're trying to keep the Duke vibe going strong on the N64. This page offers a rapid-fire rundown of gaming news. Duke Nukem 0 Hour gets significant coverage, showcasing various levels like Wet World, Victorian London, and Wild West. The preview suggests impressive visuals and gameplay. Other news items include Power Quest, a Game Boy Color robot fighting RPG, a Zelda novel based on Ocarina of Time, Robot Pokotsu, a Pokemon-esque RPG with robots, and the inclusion of Fatboy Slim tracks in FIFA 99. Finally, Game Boy Wars will utilize the N64 Game Boy pack for 2-player battles on TV. This page kicks off with a look at Pokemon for the Game Boy, and blimey, they're really pushing it as the next big thing. Best games ever made is a bold claim, isn't it? They describe it as an RPG where you explore, catch monsters, train them up for fights, and beat bosses. Standard fare really, but they're highlighting the turn-based combat and monster evolution, showing Squirtle growing into Blastoise. They seem proper chuffed with it, saying it might be the best Game Boy game ever, and promising more on basic Pokemon in the next issue. Then it's on to Mario Party for the N64. Right, so it's not Super Mario 64 Part 2, just to clear that up straight away they say. It's a board game thingy with Mario and his mates Luigi, Donkey Kong, the whole gang made by Nintendo and Hudson. You're walking around a 3D board and landing on squares triggers minigames, like sledge races and balancing on beach balls. Looks a bit like Mario Kart but on foot or wheels or whatever. They reckon it'll be a stonker, especially for the Japanese market, but they're not holding their breath for a UK release just yet. Always the way, isn't it? Japanese gamers getting all the good stuff first. This magazine spread features 2 main sections. The left side is an advertisement for WTake Entertainment, a mail-order game retailer. They claim to have the biggest selection of new, used and import games, even though they heavily promote PlayStation games in a Nintendo magazine. Prices are listed, including launch prices of £35.99 for titles like Tomb Raider 3 and Zelda. The right side promotes a premium rate phone service for N64 cheats and tips, boasting to be the UK's biggest and best audio cheat service. Game genres are categorized, listing popular titles like Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye, and Banjo-Kazooie. They also offer cheats for PSX games. Calls average 2.3 minutes, suggesting costly phone bills for players seeking cheat codes. Rat Attack, a 3D catch-em-up game for the N64, developed by Pure Entertainment, was previewed, with a planned release in May 1999. The story involves intelligent space rats, Washington and Jefferson, returning to Earth after being experimented on by aliens to cause trouble. Players, as Scratch Cats, trap rats by drawing rectangles, then deposit them into the Eradicator for points. The game features Bennett the dog, who steals lives, and the Mutator, created by the rats, which turns rats into jelly rats. Players can choose from 4 Scratch Cats, each with unique abilities: High Jinx, Ninja Swords, Manx, Claws, Muffy DuPont, Groovy Love Attack, and Smokey, Electric Arc. The preview suggests a light-hearted and slightly odd action experience. This page previews 2 N64 games. Harvest Moon 2 is a farming simulator with RPG elements, where players raise animals, grow crops, and interact with villagers. The game features farmhouse customization and the opportunity to find a wife. A screenshot highlights the gorgeous tomatoes. Next up is Rat Attack, a multiplayer game where up to 4 players trap rats and compete for the highest score. Players, as Scratch Cats, can use shields against the dog, Bennett. The game features a graveyard setting and simple gameplay. The review suggests it's addictive and mentions a time limit and the potential for frantic gameplay, including the use of a space hopper. This page previews 2 N64 games. Chameleon Twist 2, a 3D platformer by Sunsoft, features Davy the Chameleon navigating bizarre worlds with his tongue, solving puzzles and playing subgames. Set for a spring 1999 release, it boasts improved graphics and diverse levels like Arabialand, Skyland, Iceland, and Toyland. The preview suggests it's a significant improvement over the original. Michael Owen's World League Soccer 99 is also highlighted, claiming to challenge FIFA and ISS. Developed specifically for the N64, it promises over 200 teams, realistic graphics, and is tied to young English football stars. The preview is optimistic, suggesting this soccer title will be a success. What? This page showcases 2 very different games. On the left we've got an advert for Rush 2, Extreme Racing, USA, on the N64. Right then, Rush 2, sequel to San Francisco Rush. Now, they're being a bit cheeky here, calling the original one of the N64's worst races. Bit harsh maybe, but fair enough, it wasn't amazing. This one promises to be better, with 11 tracks, a hidden course, and locations all over America, like New York with the Statue of Liberty, Los Angeles where you can spot the Hollywood sign, and even Hawaii. Fair play. Sounds like a road trip alright. They even mention stunt racing and loops, so that's a bit different. The We Think box is quite honest. They reckon the car handling in the first game was a bit pants, and if they fix that, this sequel could be a proper top racer. It's out spring 1999 apparently, so not too far off. Then on the right hand side we've got something a bit more, quirky. It's for a game called Space Station Silicon Valley, and it's got a kangaroo wearing boxing gloves. Holds no punches is the tagline. Very clever. Bit of a weird image with all those spooky eyes in the background too, very odd. Looks like it's going for a bit of a madcap vibe, whatever this Silicon Valley game is. It's definitely different from the racing game on the other side of the page. This article previews upcoming games for the Game Boy Color and Nintendo 64. The Game Boy Color section highlights new titles like Men in Black, Gex, and Zelda. Link's Awakening, emphasizing their vibrant color compared to older monochrome games. Classics like Mario Land 2 and Tetris are also mentioned. Crave Entertainment is porting games like Gex and Men in Black. Nintendo is focusing on Pokemon and promoting Wario Land 3. On the N64, the focus shifts to Superman, a 3D adventure game from Titus Dew in spring '99. The game promises classic Superman moves, including flying, heat vision, and the ability to manipulate objects. A 4-player deathmatch mode in Metropolis is also featured. The article emphasizes the game's super moves and promises a thrilling superhero experience. This page advertises several games across different platforms. The Game Boy Color section highlights enhanced versions of classics like Mole Mania, Kirby's Dream Land 2, Super Mario Land 2, and the highly anticipated Pokemon, all touted as essential holiday purchases. Below, the N64 game Superman is previewed, showing screenshots of combat, though the graphics are described as clunky. The review advises caution, suggesting a wait for a more thorough review. Finally, a full-page advertisement for the N64 game Space Station Silicon Valley is featured, showcasing a bizarre design with edgy marketing, leaving the reader intrigued. This retro advertisement promotes N64 deals, featuring bundles like consoles with GoldenEye 007, Mario 64, or International Superstar Soccer 98. Discounts were offered on accessories like controllers and rumble packs when bundled with games. Zelda merchandise, including beanies and controller deals, was also highlighted. Other deals included games like Extreme G2, Body Harvest, and Turok 2. The ad also mentions game swapping, fast delivery, and offers on Mario soft toy beanies. Sakar Gear offered discounts on accessories, various controller options, including third-party brands, and a vast selection of new and used N64 games were advertised, including US imports. The page concluded with advertisements for memory and controller bundles. Kafiye. This page showcases retro gaming gear, primarily Nintendo 64 and Game Boy, with mentions of PlayStation and Dreamcast. Racing game enthusiasts could choose from a variety of N64 steering wheels, N64 accessories like rumble packs, the Shockwave force feedback device, and the odd Interactor backpack were also featured. Game Boy accessories included a booster to play Game Boy games on the N64 in color. A Game Boy Color competition was announced, with incentives for pre-orders. Classic Game Boy consoles and bundles were available, along with a vast selection of games. Super NES titles and accessories were also advertised. The prices are subject to change, and potential buyers are advised to call to confirm the current prices. This page is all about battle tanks, coming to the N64. It's from the 3Do company, those lot behind, well, some games, and it's a 3D shoot 'em up, slated for January 99. Apparently it's set after a nuclear war where you're driving around in tanks, rescuing women who are now called Queen Lords. Bit cheesy that. The preview bangs on about how you're this bloke Griffin who's got to save these ladies from enemy gangs in tanks, armed with everything from missiles to nukes. Sounds like a right old rumble. They're hyping up the single-player campaign mode, reckon it's full of super cool movies to tell the story. Gameplay-wise, you're in your tank turret blasting away, taking on missions behind enemy lines, kidnapping these Queen Lords and protecting your own women back at base. It's supposed to be top blasting action, whatever that means. Multiplayer is where they're really shouting, calling it multiplayer madness. They've got your standard modes like Battlelord, which is capture the flag, Deathmatch first to 7 kills wins, and Annihilation, last man standing. Sounds like your typical late 90s multiplayer tank action. Could be a laugh with mates if you're into that sort of thing. They even mention GoldenEye as a benchmark, trying to tempt you in with that comparison. Overall, Battle Tanks looks like a decent blast if you're after some tank-based mayhem on the N64. Milo's Astro Lanes is hyped as a wild 10-pin bowling game for the N64, featuring galactic locations and up to 4-player multiplayer with a puzzle mode. The review praises its graphics, characters, and wacky backgrounds, with a dancing robot among the crazy characters. Despite bowling not being thrilling, the game's visuals earn praise. VR Pool 64 offers a pool experience with various modes, including match play against friends and 100 computer opponents, plus a tournament mode and trick shots. The review calls it ace and a standard, but fun, pool game. Finally, a sidebar mentions Battle Tanks, expressing excitement for its release in January, despite its absence during the Christmas season. The preview highlights several N64 games. Get a Love, a Japanese dating sim board game from Hudson, is slated for spring '99, likely without a UK release. Legend of the River King offers a peaceful fishing and farming RPG experience. Nintendo's N64 bundle sales with GoldenEye or Super Mario 64 have doubled since their October launch. However, UK Zelda fans are disappointed as Ocarina of Time won't get a gold cartridge like the American version. All-Star Tennis 99 promises a realistic tennis experience from Ubisoft next summer. WWF fans can anticipate Attitude, the sequel to Warzone, also due next summer with enhanced features. Finally, the price of Silicon Valley is corrected to £39.99. This advertisement from the past promotes special reserves. Join the club membership for £6.99, offering magazines, cheats and competitions. It heavily features Nintendo 64 bundles, especially those with GoldenEye and Mario 64, along with a selection of N64 extras and Super NES games. The ad showcases a wide array of N64 games, including Banjo-Kazooie and Zelda, Ocarina of Time, alongside Game Boy products like Pocket Game Boys with cameras. Controllers from various brands, including Mad Catz and Joytech, are also advertised. The ad concludes with a comparison to PlayStation games and incentives to join the club, such as free gifts. Finally, it lists special reserve shop locations. Choranti. This Nintendo magazine page promotes its upcoming issue as the biggest and best, promising exclusive content and easy-to-understand guides. The issue highlights upcoming Nintendo 64 games. A large image of Eric Cartman is featured, likely to broaden the audience. Previews include Micro Machines, 64 Turbo, Goemon 2, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Quake 2, and Top Gear Overdrive. The magazine promises coverage of all tracks, vehicles, and characters in Micro Machines, 64 Turbo. Reviews of the games are promised, including a total test section for all N64 games, with an emphasis on Top Gear Overdrive. The page reiterates its commitment to game guides and cheat codes. Ultimately, it's a standard magazine spread designed to generate excitement for the next issue. This N64 magazine issue heavily promotes the upcoming South Park game, featuring Stan, Kyle, and Kenny. The article promises to cover gameplay, levels, weapons, and of course how to kill Kenny. With a go by at the 19th of December tag, it's clearly a Christmas push. Subscribers get a free Nintendo gift and a free Zelda Ocarina of Time tips book. The magazine also includes tips for F1 World Grand Prix, Turok 2, and Rally, though the advice is fairly basic. Finally, it promotes a special offers Club Mario, likely a subscription or membership offer, typical for magazines of the era. This article focuses on Link from the Legend of Zelda series. He's presented as a major Nintendo star, tracing his history back to the NES. The article reviews key Zelda games and elements like Princess Zelda, Ganondorf, and the Triforce. It mentions the original Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and the upcoming re-release of Link's Awakening on Game Boy Color. Ocarina of Time is highly praised, with a near-perfect score. The article also highlights an unreleased Game Boy Color Zelda game, Zelda: Dreaming Island. A greatest hits list includes Ocarina of Time, Link's Awakening, A Link to the Past, the original Legend of Zelda, and Adventure of Link. This page is a rather amusing advert for the Game Boy Pocket. It's styled like one of those emergency break glass boxes you see for fire alarms, but instead of an axe you get a Game Boy Pocket. The tagline is, Game Boy, protecting the planet from boredom, which fair enough, back in the day a Game Boy could certainly keep you occupied for hours on end on a long car journey. It's a bit dramatic, but I suppose the message is clear. Boredom is an emergency, and the Game Boy is the solution. It's a clever way to push the Game Boy Pocket as essential, isn't it? This page is an advert for the Game Boy Color and a Handy Boy Pocket. It's pushing a deal where you get a free Handy Boy Pocket worth £16.99 when you buy a Game Boy Color for £69.99. The Handy Boy Pocket add-on is shown in the advert, and apparently it gives you fold-out speakers, a screen magnifier, and a screen light. All the stuff you might have wanted back then to pimp your original Game Boy or Game Boy Color. Below the offer, there's a long list of BT's store locations and phone numbers, so you can ring up your local shop and see if they've still got any knocking about. It's basically a sales page, letting you know where you can go grab your new color handheld and get a freebie at the same time. Good old BT's, remember them? They were everywhere back in the day, selling all sorts of toys and games.